pretty bridesmaid dress, and the problem with the fitting in the bodice is that it needs to be let out as much as possible. And so that's going to be these side seams that I'm going to look to see how much seam allowance exists and how much I can possibly let out from the top to the sash at the waist. Right now I'm very interested to know just how alterations friendly this dress is, and I'm finding out if I can slip my hand between the two linings and the overlayer all the way up through the skirt, through the sash area, and to the armpit area right here. If I can get my hand all the way up through, this is an alterations friendly dress and makes me very happy because it's going to be much more easy to access the existing seam allowance than it might be in other dresses that are sewn shut here in this area and I can't get my hand all the way up. Of course there's a way to do it in that event, but this is the easiest, especially for your first times out. You want to make sure that you can get your hand all the way up through the linings, through the waist, and up to the armpit area. Alright, let's turn this inside out. And as we do so, we run into an attachment at the waist that will simply snip open. It's just a little tacking. Now we're ready to open her all the way up to the armpit. And there you are, we're at the armpit area. Separate the front of the dress from the lining by inserting your ripper in between the two layers and going for it if you feel confident. Otherwise, turn the dress inside out and separate this seam. Because now you're going to turn it inside out and deal with it from the top of the armpit, which is where we are at, down through the sash. Our seam allowance is just generous enough that we can let out what will probably add up to be about an inch on one side. And if we let out about that much on the other side, she'll be happy about the fitting. The original seam is stitched with aqua thread right here. And I formed a new seam line by pinning right here. See how I'll be at an angle, starting wide at the top of the armpit and tapering to 0 or nothing to the original seam line at the sash. Now, had we been taking in this garment rather than letting it out, we would have created a pin line on the left side of the aqua stitching, the original aqua stitching, thereby taking the garment in. Instead, we pinned to the right of the aqua seam, original seam, because we're letting out. Here by comparison, I have gone ahead and pinned what it would look like were we taking this garment in instead of letting it out. See the diagonal line on the left side of the aqua original stitching as compared to the right side. So I'll just take these pins right on, because that's not what we're doing. We are letting out. You're sewing the new stitching line, following those pins right on down the way. I'm just using my home sewing machine and not my industrial machine. Let's do the same on the lining side. It can get tight down at the bottom when you're coming out to the original seam. Just do your very best. Go slowly. Now, rip out the old original aqua seam, leaving the new seam intact. A ripping we go, the old seam, till it's entirely out. Don't worry that the old stitching line may show in the way of a little holes in the fabric that can all be steam pressed out. Now we're ready to turn this dress right side out and just see what we've achieved. Okay, right side out, it looks a little rough. That's to be expected. There are still the old stitching holes that are showing, and there are some stay stitches from the previous stitching that need to be picked out carefully. But trust me, once this is all out and pressed, it'll look great. I'm going to show you. Time to sew up this seam. Once again, turn the dress inside out. Inside out, match seams, and pin. Take your time. Place more pins along the gap. I like to do it from the lining side rather than the dress. Now you're ready to stitch from here to here. Stitching along. And there it is. You have the first side completed. Congratulations. We'll do the other side in review mode with still photos. With just an easy tapping motion of the steam iron set on the lowest steam setting, you can make those old stitching holes disappear. And really, if you don't want to contend with the pressing, just have it professionally done by a dry cleaners.